Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, why do YouTubers love The Legend of Zelda? Because there's always a link in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to go ahead and share with you my top 10 tips for starting a board game review channel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I've had people ask me over the years, um, what what should they do if they want to do a YouTube channel, specifically a board gaming channel? What should they do? What are they're looking for some pearls of wisdom, and I kind of feel like, look, I'm just some Joe Schmo who puts stuff out. I'm not particularly successful or arguably even that good at it. I just enjoy it, and so I kind of just said, oh, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what to tell them, but I really thought about it. And I really thought, what are some of the things that, if you were looking to start a board game review channel, should you be looking out for? Um, what are some of the things maybe to avoid? What should you do? So went ahead, I compiled a list. Let's jump right into it. So my number 10, this one could not be more important. Don't do it for free games. Okay. When I started reviewing, I was reviewing for a newspaper, and I thought, oh, that'd be cool if I could get review copies for games. And I did. I said, oh, that's pretty cool. But it quickly became apparent to me that if you do that, there are certain obligations that come with that, expectations of getting stuff done and getting stuff done on time. Um, and frankly, it when I switched over to YouTube and I started reviewing on YouTube, this is pretty much a part-time job. Sometimes it feels like a full-time job producing stuff for YouTube. And I'm not getting paid nearly as much as I would if I had a full-time job or even a part-time job for that matter. If I were to take the hours I put into YouTube and the gaming I do for YouTube and actually translate that into minimum wage or something, I still would be fall far short here. Now you can make the argument, well, the games make up for it. Well, the games are great and it's fun and it's a perk, but that's not why I do it, and it's not why you should do it. If that was why I was doing it, I would literally get a second job and work that second job in order to buy games. Um, it's a hobby, right? It's a hobby. Okay. So don't do it for the free games. Don't do it for the free games is very important. I'm going to come back to this a little bit later in the list. But that is my number 10. My number 9 is do your own thing. Don't try to emulate other people. Don't try to um, look and see exactly what works for them and say, I'm going to do that. And I'll give you an example. So one of the reasons why I got into this biz is really, as much as I wanted to just review board games and share my love of board games, one of the reasons I did is I was really inspired by Shut Up and Sit Down because I loved the sketches that they did. And I was doing improv comedy at the time. I'd done improv comedy for years, and I thought, I got friends that are actors that are really good. I could write fun sketches and scenarios. And the first few reviews we did were these sketches, and they were kind of a big production thing, and they were kind of exhausting. But I was really proud of them, and they were really funny, and I liked that a lot. And I felt like I was kind of chasing Shut Up and Sit Down a little bit. And then I thought, you know what? This is a lot of work. I'd rather just kind of do what I want to do. Now, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy doing that, and I wouldn't mind maybe doing that again at some point with the sketches. But I just realized ultimately I want to do my own thing. I want to present the games in the way I want to present it. I said I don't just want to see talking heads. One of the things I wanted to do is when I started reviewing, most people were just doing formats like this, where they were just talking and then they would actually show the components and just basically tell you what the rules were, and that was it. But one of the things I felt was really missing is I never saw people actually playing the games in the review. So when I started doing it, I decided I was going to bring my camera when we played games and just let the camera roll and capture some of the action that I could then present in the videos to kind of illustrate some of the points of rules or other things. And I felt that kind of was my thing, and I still do that to this day. The jokes that I do, now other people tell jokes, but I tell a stupid, corny joke at the beginning. I still tell a stupid, corny joke at the end. I remember Greg Kinnear, when he had his talk show, he would do the same thing. He'd have some kind of joke at the beginning, and so even when I wasn't going to watch the show, or even when I wasn't particularly interested in the guests, I would always watch the beginning to see what that particular joke was. And so that's kind of one of the things I thought was pretty cool. But be yourself, do your own thing. That is my number 9. My number 8, if you are just starting out, don't reach out to companies and ask for games. Don't request games until you've already kind of established yourself, until you get a few hundred subscribers at least. And so before you reach out, do review your own games. Odds are, if you love games, you probably have several of your own games, or your friends have some games that you really love. And they don't have to be new. They don't have to be something exciting. Review old games. Man, there's tons of people love looking at reviews for older games, right? And if you love it, odds are there's other people out there that love it as well. So go ahead, review what you've got or what you have access to. And once you've established yourself, that's the time to reach out. That's the time to say to companies, look, this is what I produce. This is what I have to say. These are my subscribers. I think I think I have something to say about your game, or I want something to say about your game. And I think you'll have much more success in approaching subscribers with that, or companies with that attitude, and being able to receive review copy games. So that is my number 8. Review your own games first, then request copies. My number 7 is I talked about some of the obligations that come with games, come with game reviews. Now, a lot of times, game companies will just send me stuff out of the blue. Now, I try to review those, but they're not priorities. Um, if I request a game, if I reach out to a company and I say I would like to review that, I feel an obligation to get it done. But I also feel an obligation to kind of be open and upfront about expectations here. A lot of companies want a game to be reviewed within a few weeks, a month, and that's just not it. My turnaround time between the time I actually get a game into my collection, between the time I put a review up, is usually 2 to 3 months. And I was talking with somebody from a company who has a game that's new, fairly well received. A lot of people like it. It looks awesome. Well-known designer. I'm super excited to play it eventually. And we were talking, and they said, "Okay, we'd like to send you a review copy, but we need a review in about 2 weeks." And I said, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." And we talked for a little bit, and I said, I just that's not the way I work. That's not the way I'm organized. I just can't do it in the time frame you want. So I haven't played the game. It's totally cool. I completely respect their decision, but they wanted to send the game to somebody who would get it done sooner. I totally respect that, but you need to be honest, right? I would have felt like crap if I had said, "Oh yeah, I'll get it in 2 weeks," and then I just sat on it, right? Or even I tried to work through it, but through circumstance, it took me longer to get up. I wouldn't feel right about that. So be honest with companies about the expectations, about turnaround time for your review. But number 6, this is something, again, I kind of mentioned earlier, and that is where you can, and this is something I struggle with sometimes, but where you can, bring in your friends. When I started this, like I say, I actually brought in a lot of friends. A lot of them weren't even gamers, but I had, like I say, I wrote these sketches, and they were brilliant. They were so much fun. But I think a lot of people, and this is something I think I kind of struggle with here on my channel, is I think a lot of people get tired of seeing my ugly face, and they want to see other people's views and bringing from their wealth of experience to the channel. And I've been very pleased lately that here and there I've been able to bring in Ray, and he actually has been in some of my live videos, and he's great, and we have a lot of fun. And he's a total gamer. He gets games, he loves games, and he's got lot of experience with games I've never played. And so I really like bringing him on. But where you can, it's just always fun. And even to this day, just for some of the stupid jokes and stuff I do, I get Zach or Sean or some people to just record little things for me to interact with. And I really like that. And I think it mixes things up, it keeps things fun. So where you can, bring in your buddies. Number 5 is one that it should be obvious, right? It should be incredibly obvious. And yet I watch some reviews and I sometimes wonder. And this is, be honest about the games you play. Be honest in your review. If you haven't played the game and you just want to say review components or theme or whatever, or artwork, then do that. I think some reviewers that I see, I really wonder if they've actually played the game. I would not review a game if I didn't play it. If I, the closest I come there, I mean, where the line is, sometimes if there's a multiplayer game, I'll set it up and I'll play it just by myself with the different parts or whatever. Sometimes, occasionally, I will do that if I can't find someone to play a game with me. So that is something that I do. But I always play the game. I always make sure the game is played before I review it. And then I'm not trying to impress anyone when I review. I get a lot of flack because a lot of times people say I give a buy it recommendation too much. If I give a buy it recommendation, it's because I think it's a good game, and I think people will really enjoy it. Um, Sometimes I try to be very honest and very clear about making a distinction sometimes about when I think it is a good game, but it's also not for me. Now, when that happens, I usually give it a try it before you buy it. Sometimes I've given it a buy it if I'm convinced it's a good game. Um, but usually, if it's not my cup of tea, I'll usually give it a try it before you buy it recommendation. Because it is so subjective. What we do as reviewers is so subjective, but you got to be honest about what you feel. I know some people I've talked to in the past have told me, they'd be afraid to say they didn't like a game because it would sour their relationship with their company. And I have given honest reviews for games that soured my relationship with companies. There's one company that I love that a few years ago I did a review for a game and I did not like. I didn't think it was a good game, and I haven't heard anything from them since. They have sent me some stuff out of the blue, but it's like there's no communication there. So that's a risky run, but you got to be honest. You got to tell people what you think. If it's not a good game, you got to say it's not a good game, right? And I feel bad too because as a designer of a game, you may put your heart and soul into something, and I don't want to be unkind, and I certainly don't want to cheapen or take away from the work that they put into it. But I've got to be honest, and I've got to put what I think out there. I mean, at the end of the day, my opinion is really all I have to offer. So be honest. It's like I say, it sounds really obvious, and it should be. I don't know that everybody always is. I try to be as much as I can. I hope I always am. But that is my number five. Be honest about the games you play. My number four, now this is something else that I'm going to recommend that I don't necessarily myself do, but I think for somebody starting out, it would probably be best. And that is when I produce my videos, I tend to speak extemporaneously. I did improv comedy for years. I tend to think and speak pretty quickly about various topics. I'm a professor, so I kind of have to shift gears pretty quick during lectures to meet questions and stuff. So I've always been able to speak well and generally get my point across. But even having said that, I do have to edit my videos. If I were to show you just a straight unedited video, there would be a lot of false starts. There are a lot of ums, ahs, ahs. So I edit to try to make it a clean video without too many unneeded words or sounds coming out of me. Some of them I keep them in for dramatic effect, but generally I have to take a lot of those out. So I would recommend that if you are actually starting out, maybe script your videos. Say exactly, or at least bullet point exactly what you're trying to say. Because if you are not, if you let it stream and go, and you're putting in a lot of ahs and uhs and uhs, those sorts of sounds, if there's a lot of them in your video, I think people will get turned off by it. I am. I've seen videos, not just board game review videos, but just other videos on YouTube where people clearly don't know how to speak in this kind of a situation, and they're not editing. If you're going to speak extemporaneously, fine, but be prepared to edit all of that extraneous stuff you don't need. And I really think scripting is probably the way to go. Those early videos that we did, those sketches that we did, they were all scripted, and I thought they worked really well. And if I'm going to have an interaction with somebody in some way, I would probably write a script if it was kind of a fun sketch thing. Otherwise, I'm speaking extemporaneously. But so that's a bit of advice. Really, I would urge you to consider scripting your videos, or at least edit them heavily. But number three, and this kind of goes back to the first point I made, the number 10, where I said, don't do it for the free games. You need to remember too, YouTube is this really freaking weird animal. It's an alien life form. It's something, what I mean by that is it's new, right? YouTube's been around for about 20 years now, and yet it is still, from a social perspective, incredibly new and unique. I remember in 1982, Isaac Asimov was on David Letterman. You can see this clip on YouTube. And Isaac Asimov said to Letterman, he said, with fiber optic cables and the way communications are evolving, pretty soon everyone will be able to have their own TV channel the way we have our own phone numbers. And boy, he was right. That's exactly what's come to pass. So YouTube you can make money on YouTube, right? If you get a lot of views, you get a lot of personality, you can monetize it and you can make some money. I make some money from YouTube, not a lot. Not a, I couldn't pay my rent with what I make on YouTube, right? I can't make a student loan payment with what I get on YouTube. But it's nice. It's a nice little something that I can get every month that kind of helps me out. That kind of says I'm not completely wasting my time, right? I make a little money there. Not a lot, but a little bit. So the whole point I'm trying to make here is this is a hobby. If you review board games, it's a hobby, it's not a job. Don't go into it thinking you're going to make it a job. You're not. You're not going to, by reviewing board games, which is this very niche, narrow thing, you're not going to make this a full-time job. Now, Tom Vazel did, but Tom Vazel's Tom Vazel. And he hit the market at the right time, and he brought the right personality and people and talent to it. And he does a great job to this day. And, God bless him. But for most of us, we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to make a living on YouTube. So don't treat it that way. Don't go into it with these incredibly high expectations that, oh, I'm going to make it, I'm going to be a breakout star, because the odds are against you. Even if you're amazing, even if you're super talented and smart and produce great videos, you're probably not going to make a job out of this. If you can, great, tell me your secret. But just manage your expectations, be realistic. This is a hobby, it's not a job. That's my number 3. My number 2 is one of the most important things I can give you. One of the most important things I can say, and this goes for not just anybody reviewing board games or anybody on YouTube. I think this goes just for life. Ignore the haters. There will be people that do not like you. No matter what you do, no matter what you present, no matter what you have to say, there will be people that not only don't like you, but they tell you they don't like you. And they can be mean, and they can be cruel, and they can hit you where it hurts sometimes. And you just have to let it go. My advice is don't engage with them. I used to. I try not to now. If I do engage with them, I actually try to be positive, and kind. And sometimes they'll turn around and they'll react positively to you. Other times, it goes the other way. I generally just ignore them. I had actually not too long ago somebody who accused me. They called me. It was purely political. I think I had at some point I'd subscribed to a channel. I didn't even know what it was. Um, and that I'd unsubscribed to it too. But this person in this window, I guess, got on there and said something to the effect of, "Oh, you're a bigot. You're a hater. They said something like that. Oh, the discriminated gamer. That's an unironic, or that's not unironic title or something." And it was a very hurtful thing to say. It's not true. But some people, for whatever reason, feel empowered. They feel relevant when they diss you, when they are angry toward you. I did, a few years ago, I did my top 10 World War II games. First time I did my top 10 World War II games. That's by far my most watched video the first time I did it. It's massive. And I had people on there say some of the most unkind things I've ever heard. Call me all sorts of names. All because I didn't like the same games they liked. And it was funny because on one hand, I'm getting all these views, and on the other hand, I was just getting so many incredibly mean-spirited comments. You know what? You just have to plow through it, ignore it, and move on. It's all you can do. It will happen. Be prepared for it, and be prepared to let it go, and just realize that's the way some people are in this world. Anyway, ignore the haters. That is my number 2. All right, my number 1 tip to YouTubers who want to start their own YouTube board game review channel. This is another incredibly important piece of advice. This is if you want to succeed, if you really want to succeed for this. Now, I have been doing The Discriminating Gamer. I've been posting content here now for 10 years this month that I'm shooting this. And the one thing that is, in my opinion, is the difference between success and failure. It's not the number of views you get. It's not the number of money. It's not the amount of money you make. It's not the stuff you get. Success is consistency. Success is consistently putting out content. Like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. The only time I've taken a break of any note was when I was working on my comprehensive examinations for my PhD. I had a few months there. I think about 2 or 3 months. I didn't post anything, and that's the longest I've gone without posting anything in 10 years. Try to post something weekly. I usually try to put out 2 or 3 videos a week. Um, Sometimes I do a lot more. I've had periods where I put something out every day. Uh, Sometimes it's been less than that. I've gone a week without posting anything. But you need to keep doing it. You need to keep doing it. You need to be consistent. What I see happen frequently is people will start a YouTube channel and they will, for maybe 3 or 4 months, do that. They'll put out a video a week or more, and they'll do all right. But they will see that they've just got maybe a few hundred subscribers. Nothing's really taking off. They get discouraged, and that's it. They're not in it for the long haul. Me, it took me a long time to get a following. I was at it 5 years, I think, before I hit 10,000 views or 10,000 subscribers. I'm just over 21,000 subscribers right now. And really what that means is, again, I think maybe this goes back to the people who, that idea of doing it for a hobby or doing it for money. Some people think they're going to make a lot of money, and when they don't, after 6 months, they just quit. But for those of us that really enjoy sharing our opinions about board games, playing board games, and having fun with our friends and sharing that with the world, it's much easier to keep posting and to keep going. I have no intention right now of stopping this channel. At some point, I may slow it down, but I'm having too much fun. I'm meeting friends from all over the world. I've got people from all over the world say, "Hey, if you're ever here, you got a place to stay." That's great. That's awesome. Hope they're not serial killers. But I know that's come because I have consistently delivered work. I've consistently put this stuff out. Anyway, you need to be consistent. Don't get discouraged. That is my number one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what advice I have to impart. I'm not somebody who normally likes to do videos like this because I don't think of myself as particularly wise or learned. I'm certainly not the most successful YouTuber or board game designer or board game content creator out there. But I guess I'm doing something right. I've been doing this for 10 years and people seem to like it. Most people do. There are the haters. But I just wanted to share that because I have had people ask me about that in the past. What should I do? If I want to start a YouTube channel. So some basic ideas. I hope that's helpful to some of you. Others, I hope you've enjoyed the video, even if that's not your cup of tea. But let me know, what do you think? Do you agree with some of my assessments here, my tips? Do you think there's stuff I should have said that I didn't? What do you think? I'm eager to hear your feedback. As always, I feel my videos are always kind of a two-way street. I really enjoy hearing back from everybody and their thoughts, good or bad, as long as it's polite. And so anyway, please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. I'd ask you to please check out my other channel, Cody Carlson, PhD. I talk about military history, fun stuff like that. And also, too, I would ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to go ahead and, if you really do like what we do here, click on the super thanks button and leave a tip. What do you call a satisfied YouTuber? A content creator.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love to fight, but I don't ever win. It's a fine line to damnation, but God let me in.
For realsies?